Let's move on, though, now to the Detroit Lions and some of their free agency moves up to this point and what we think like they might now do in the draft with all this updated information. But before we do that, if you've not already, hit that subscribe button and smash that bell to ring that bell to get notifications. Brian and I, we have a goal of getting to 1,000 subscribers. And last time we checked, this is Sunday, April 2nd. We're at 941. So help us reach our goal. And if you're watching this, already actually at 1,000 subscribers, still subscribe. Help us get to 2,000 and reach. That would be our next goal. And so it's the easiest way to help us grow the channel, and we greatly appreciate it. Ryan, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
The Detroit Lions are going to be good next year.
Yeah.
I have loved all their signings that they have, and they're going so defensive heavy. They have two first-round picks at 6 and 18. There's going to be great players that fit their needs at that position there. They're just an exciting team to watch. And then if they continue this offensive trend that they had on the second half of the season, I think it's going to be great. I think they're going to be great. I think they've only improved from that right there. So let's get into some of their free agency moves, right? What are some of the key losses that the Lions have?
So the big one, and especially after last season, this player had a special place, I think, in both of our hearts. But Jamal Williams did go sign with the Saints. And then I think that, to me, is really the biggest loss. And then I think you look at Mike Hughes, the cornerback, went to the Falcons. And then Chris Board went to the Patriots. Evan Brown, the center, went to the Seahawks. And you're kind of getting a little further down into like some of the depth pieces there.
Yeah.
And for me,
another guy is a DJ Chark as well.
True.
As a receiver. But he was hurt a decent bit.
He only played 7 games last year.
And to be honest, actually, I think they re-signed Marvin Jones Jr., and he is much older, yes, but I think he would be able to contribute much. I know they might not be the same receivers, but
also,
I think
Jameson Williams is going to fill that role.
Yeah.
So
that's going to be fun to watch.
Oh yeah, and so that for me, I don't really view that as a big loss. I actually missed that there because both of the Blues on the
I figured that. Yeah.
But no, so yes, DJ Chark is a loss, but Jameson Williams is going to be able to fill that role pretty easily. So now let's get into some of their additions. We'll start at the top here. The big signing, Cameron Sutton, the cornerback from the Steelers, is now a Detroit Lion. I love this pick. After the Lions fired their secondary coach in the middle of the season, this defense got much, much better. And I think you bring in a guy like Cameron Sutton, as not to give away what we're going to talk about a little bit later, but as well as bring in a young cornerback possibly through the draft. I think this secondary takes a whole nother level, right? Especially you couple that with the addition of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson as the safety from Philadelphia, who had a really good season last year. This is scary for teams because this secondary is going to be really good, and then you have Aiden Hutchinson and Cast coming after you.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, and so that was their thing. It's like it was once they fired their secondary coach, it was a night and day difference in that team. And I guess it was just an organizational setup on that defensive side of the ball, but they started getting after the quarterback more. Teams started actually having a tough time scoring against them. You watch that Thanksgiving Day game against the Bills, and I think it was 28-25 or maybe 28-26 or something like that. Yeah. And the Lions had a chance to win that game, but the Bills did not. Like they had trouble moving the ball. They at times, and so addressing the secondary, which what they've already done, and they're going to do it again for sure in the draft, especially with one of their first 2 picks, and we'll kind of dive deeper into that here the later segment. But let's continue now on the offensive side of the ball. Yes, you mentioned Jamal Williams' loss. However, objectively, I think a much improved running back here. Jamal Williams, fan favorite. I'm looking forward to watching him play with the Saints, especially as a Falcons fan. It will be tough to root against him, but he is just a fun character, someone you want to root for. When you look at David Montgomery, though, I think he now becomes the number 1 back, even with all the DeAndre Swift injuries. I think he's now the number 1 back. Yeah. He can be your 3-down back.
He is, and he was drafted 4 years ago in the 3rd round because he is a true 3-down back.
Mm-hmm.
He's a better running back all around. He catches passes better. He runs better. And it is a clear improvement. It still breaks my heart that Jamal Williams left.
Yeah.
But
leader of the hidden village of the Deeps.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think about this offensive setup that they have right now, and I feel like they couldn't do this as effectively, but with how good this offensive line is for the Lions. First down, 4-yard run, David Montgomery. Second down, you can still run the ball if you want. Let's say it's 3rd and short, play action pass, or second down, play action pass. And you have Jameson Williams just sprinting down the field, one of the fastest guys in the league. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's great as well. And it just the whole system, it just opens up now. I think with the addition of David Montgomery, to where I think like this offense, I think now is close to complete. I really think it's close to complete. And so other noticeable additions as well is Graham Glasgow, right guard from the Broncos. He did sign, I think, adding some good depth as well. I think he can come in and also help compete for some starting spots. Other than that, though, they do have a long snapper that they signed from the Cowboys. That's pretty cool.
I do like the Emmanuel Mosley signing. I think that's a good one.
Oh, shoot, we forgot to mention that one, yes.
Yeah. I think he's going to end up being more of a depth piece because, again, we'll talk about this here in a second, but I think they're going to bring in a young corner in the draft. And so I look at this team. They were so close to winning the division last year.
Yeah.
And if they can
make the playoffs.
Making the playoffs.
Yeah.
But if they can build off of what they did in the second half of that season, this is a 12-win team, and that wins this division.
Well, and if you go back and look, I can pull up their schedule, but if you go back and look at their first couple of games, I think they started out 1-6. I think they only got blown out in that Patriots game.
Yeah.
And
that was just a Bill Belichick masterclass. That wasn't even the defense still looked good in that game.
They barely lost to the Lions. They should have beat the Vikings in week 3. Shootout, defensive juggernaut, 48-45 loss to the Seahawks, blown out by the Patriots. 24-6 loss to the Cowboys, and then barely lost to Miami on October 3rd. Like those first couple of games, there was a lot of games that could have gone. Yeah. I think the Vikings game, actually, I think they had a 4th and goal, and they came up inches short. And then Vikings came back and won, just like how they did all last year. So a couple different things go their way, and they're in the playoffs. And this year, I agree with you now. Like there's just a fun vibe around the Lions. I love rooting for them. I hope they have a great season and then lose to the Falcons in the NFC Championship. So it's like I'm rooting for them. Let's move on though now to their final segment with the just talking about the Detroit Lions and now what this does to their draft. To me personally, this solidifies for me that they're going defensive line at 6 overall, and then they're going to go cornerback at 18. Maybe trade up and go get Joey Porter if they want, or maybe if Brian Branch falls or Deontay Banks at 18. But to me, there's 3 clear guys, and it seems like maybe Jalen Carter might fall to them. And if you're I understand you're looking for the future, but in the secondary, but you have Cam Sutton signed for 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. You have C.J. Gardner-Johnson at 1 year, and then C.J. Moore, safety, signed for 2. But so you're still going to be – this is a good cornerback class. And to me, I understand all the issues that are going on, but I feel like that there is a cultural vibe around Detroit that maybe if there is any off-the-field issues that Dan Campbell and his Lions organization be able to help address with Jalen Carter. Because the talent on the field, that's not the question. And imagine Jalen Carter and Aiden Hutchinson right now.
Oh, yeah. No, that would be
like that to me. And so that's what I'm saying. And if he's gone, then Tyree Wilson, if he's still available, if Will Anderson. I know it's tough to me to see a scenario where at least one of those 3 guys is not there, because I feel like 3 quarterbacks are going to be taken.
Unless the Colts would have to not take a quarterback for that to happen.
Colts would have to not take a quarterback.
So there's a lot of rumors that a lot of teams are taking Jalen Carter off their draft board. And, understandably so. I think the Lions, from what Dan Campbell has said publicly about Jalen Carter and what some of his teammates have said he would do in the locker room, I think has eliminated Jalen Carter from the Lions draft board. I don't think Dan Campbell wants to bring him into the locker room.
Really? Okay.
So, which again, I understand, and especially there's a lot of rumors that there's a lot of locker room drama that has occurred around Jalen Carter now that season is over and the draft process and interviews have begun. So,
okay,
that'll be interesting. I kind of have a new theory on what I really like for them. So, I think they could go Christian Gonzalez, Devin Witherspoon here at 6.
Okay.
And then at 18, I actually really like Quentin Johnson in this offense. Like it would be absolutely insane. But you have the speedy Z receiver in Jameson Williams. You have the slot guy in Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then outside, you really only have Marvin Jones. You don't really have anybody else. And then I think you throw Quentin Johnson.
Like, not saying he's an elite receiver, but he has had some. I think also Josh Reynolds, but he was more of a. I'm pretty sure he was more kind of like a slot receiver. I had to double check. Anyways, continue.
But I think you throw Quentin Johnson into this offense. This is an offense he doesn't have to come in and be a feature piece right away because they already have their Ferrari on the other side. And so I think you can make his route tree really simple for his first season. Run slants and goes, maybe a few deep digs. And then as he develops later on, you can start to throw more complex routes at him. But in the meantime, while he's running those simple routes, you're working on the fundamentals, right? Blocking out corners, reaching, catching with your hands away from your frame, right? And just doing a lot of the small things that I think he struggles with while being able to not have to worry about this scheme. Yeah. And I think that's a perfect fit. He's also going to get a shitload of one-on-one coverage.
Yeah.
Which, if you think about Quentin Johnson versus one-on-one coverage, I feel like you would take that. So I actually really like that fit. They have the extra first rounder, so they're not completely mortgaging something. And then this is a pretty deep edge class. I think in the second round they would be able to take an Isaiah Foskey or something like that to bolster up that defensive line. So
yeah, I could see it. Like I mean, that is the advantage of having that second first round pick, especially too then when you're picking in the top 6. And that's fair. It's a good point about Jalen Carter as well. As obviously nothing's a sure thing, but go with the players who have also really improved and showed on tape, like a Christian Gonzalez, who I think would fit. And then he could learn from Cameron Sutton and grow, be your future like franchise cornerback one for a really long time. And so a lot of different ways that they could go there. I would love, it'd be tough. I could see if Tyree Wilson is there for them to pass up on that. But you're right. The Jalen Carter X factor is thrown. No one knows, I feel like, where he's going to go. I feel like maybe some off the field stuff that can be addressed or he might be able to address before then. But very interesting to kind of see what happens from there.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of, like you said, a lot of different ways they could go. I'm very excited for this team in 2023. I think they're legitimate Super Bowl contenders. They're my pick to win this division right now. So
yeah. I mean, I would think, and I agree as well. As of right now, I've got the Lions winning the division, and I honestly think maybe even winning a couple playoff games.
Yeah. Oh, so I think they could do really well in 2023. So let's go ahead and wrap them up there.